who did carry out the order.
Thank you.
Thank you. The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gohmert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's unusual to have the majority fail to properly give the basis for expertise of one of its own witnesses. But, Mr. Dean, you've got a lot more qualifications in this area than they actually provided in the introduction. Back when New York Times was more accurate, they reported that in your case, John Sirica, the judge, read the formal charges regarding the conspiracy to thwart the investigation, and he read as follows, that you were suborning perjury, giving false statements and concealing evidence in the trial before Judge Sirica last winter of the men arrested in the break-in, offering clemency to the defendants, paying to keep the arrested men silent, asking the Federal Bureau of Investigation for information, attempting to get the CIA to provide money for the payments. In furtherance of the conspiracy, Judge Sirica continued reading. Dean had committed 6 specific overt acts on or about June 27, 72, he directed G. Gordon Liddy to tell Howard Hunt to leave the United States. He asked General Vernon Walters, the deputy director of the CIA, whether the CIA could use covert funds to pay the bail and salary of those involved in the Watergate break-in. He had asked the president's former private attorney, Herbert Kalmbach, to raise funds with which to make the payments to the Watergate defendants. He had met with Jeb Stuart Magruder on the campaign staff to help Magruder prepare false, deceptive, and misleading testimony to give the grand jury. He had asked John Caulfield to offer executive clemency to James McCord, another of the original defendants, and he had asked L. Patrick Gray, former acting director of the FBI, for reports of information gained in the investigation break-in. We've heard different reports from different people involved. Magruder ended up saying, after different versions, that you're the one that ordered the break-in of the Watergate headquarters. And I see you shaking your head, but did you ever order or convey an order to break into the Democratic headquarters at Watergate Hotel?
First of all, on your description of my pleading guilty,
yeah, that came from the New York Times. You can take it up with them.
Right.
But did you ever order?
May I explain before I answer?
Well, you can either answer the question or not.
I'd be happy to answer your question.
Please.
The question is, did I ever
Did you order or
yes,
ever convey the order to break into the Democratic headquarters?
No.
All right, thank you. And I know
in fact, I have no evidence that anybody at the White House.
Look, I've only got 5 minutes, and the chairman's not as liberal with us as he is with the Democrats. But for those who are not familiar with the statements here, in his last civil suit, Mr. Dean said, it could be that I misspoke myself. It's either a misstatement or an incomplete transcription, highly possible. I just misspoke myself. We were trying to paint with the broadest brush we could. I may be not artfully stating here, maybe it was imposing hindsight on events. That is a less than accurate description, talking about what he had said previously. Obviously, it was a self-serving answer, so maybe I can help some of my colleagues if you're tempted to go after questions like that. But
I don't even know what you're referring to.
It was the last civil suit you were involved in with Mr. Liddy, where he had begged you to sue him because he called you the biggest liar in the world and things of that nature, and you finally sued him with a bunch of other people and ultimately dismissed the case against him without going to trial as he had asked you to do.
That is not correct.
Let me... There are similarities, you're right, with regard to Watergate. And both an administration was seeking to illegally spy on another candidate. And both people were hired to attempt to gather evidence that could be used against a candidate. In Watergate, the committee to re-elect the president hired burglars to break into the DNC headquarters. In Watergate, administration officials tried to find ways to use federal dollars to pay for their criminal spying. In Russiagate, members of the federal government used the Intel, DOJ, and FBI communities to attempt to defeat a presidential candidate, then when that failed, to have him removed from office. In Russiagate, the Clinton campaign and the FBI paid a foreign agent to collude with Russians to produce opposition research that turned out completely false, as the Mueller report indicated, that could be used to commit a fraud upon the FISA court and get multiple warrants to spy on opposition campaign. In Russiagate, it was the Clinton campaign through Fusion GPS in concert with the FBI, possibly intelligence, who hired people to do the spying. And what really bothers me, oh, and by the way, Professor White Vance, I have an amazing admiration. I used to tell people, if you ever talk to a lawyer that says, I'm going to win at court on this and I'll win the appeal, you run from them because they're either incompetent or they're corrupt, but you have such amazing ability. You know you could win at court on an appeal, so I'm in admiration. But let me tell you, the frauds that were committed on the FISA court in this matter and the abuses of American citizens' Fourth Amendment rights and the fact that people who once cared about this country's Fourth Amendment rights are now more concerned with taking out another party's president, making sure he doesn't get reelected, tells me that we are in a greater danger for our Constitution at this time than we were from the outside World War II. And I appreciate getting nearly 30 seconds short of what y'all did. Thank you.